Well, there's one ISIS fighter with an American accent who's now calling on Muslims in the United States to take advantage of American gun laws in order to buy weapons and carry out attacks. Dave Sears is a former U.S. Navy SEAL and co-founder of Zundis Global. Dave, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Rick.
ISIS made a video with this guy. We're not going to show it or reveal its specific messages, but safe to say it's graphic and disturbing, perhaps more so because this fighter calls for more attacks in an English accent. Sounds like a New York accent.
Right, absolutely. I don't think that this is any giant surprise. We know that we've had people go over there. We know we've had some Americans or purported Americans that are sympathetic to ISIS, and they exist here in the United States as well.
Well, how likely is it that the feds know who this particular guy is?
I would say with video and all the forensics that can be done from that, pretty likely.
And how important is that they know who he is in terms of tracking him down?
It's pretty important in wrapping up what his network may be. So who is he associated with? So once you have his identity, now we can build out the spider web from there and say, who does he talk to? Who does he associate with? What are the towns, the cities, the people, the mosques that he either sympathizes with in the United States or talks to or communicates with? It's important for the network.
And he's calling on Americans to take advantage of gun laws and get guns and use them. You don't think this is just about guns, though, do you?
No, I think that guns are simply a tool, and I think that it actually distracts from the larger issue. The guns are a tool used, but explosives, we use pipe bombs, pressure bombs, you have vehicles, we've used aircraft, we've seen boats. Any tools that they can get their hands on, terrorists will use. That said, you need to get below the iceberg, below the tip of the iceberg, into what are the causes. We need to understand why they are doing this, have an open, non-politically correct conversation at times about what is the true underlying root cause.
But you're not suggesting that we try to reason with these people, are you?
Not at all, but you have to understand your enemy and you have to define the problem and frame it correctly in order to develop solutions to it. If you don't do that, if you don't start off understanding and appreciating the problem, you can't fix it.
We know that coalition forces have wiped out most of ISIS in Iraq and Syria, taking away some 98% of the territory that they once held. Is that effective in terms of wiping out ISIS itself, or what are the concerns now?
No, that is a good thing, but it's not time to pop the champagne corks and celebrate, Victory in Europe Day or Victory in the Middle East Day. It's going to still proliferate. We've gotten rid of their territorial physical caliphate because we actually know how to do that pretty well. When we're able to fight large masses of people on an open battlefield, we do that extremely well. Now they're going to disperse again. They're going to metastasize throughout the Middle East, throughout Africa, throughout Southeast Asia, even more. So we have to be aware that that's going to happen. And, kind of like Wayne Gretzky said, we need to get ahead of the puck, not follow it around.
But those losses on the battlefield, do they hurt ISIS's image? Does it make it tougher for them to attract more people to join their ranks?
I think that it does. It certainly does hurt them. Does it completely destroy that ability to do it? That's where I get to the point of we need to appreciate the underlying ideology and see what are the real impacts of that. We do a lot of mirror imaging and kind of take our own beliefs and put them onto ISIS. So we treat them as a Western nation state and how we're going to deal with them and how they make their decisions. That's not always true. That's why we got to get a true appreciation of why they're doing what they do in order to counter it.
Well, Dave, they've proven they can be very effective online, and they're putting out videos, and they're putting out messages, and they're on Twitter, and they're on other forms of communication, and they're drawing in a lot of lone wolves and disenfranchised people in numerous countries, including here in the United States, unfortunately.
They are, absolutely. And I'll tell you the one thing, you had an earlier guest on that talked about the lone wolf name. I completely agree with him. You got to get rid of that. These guys are inspired, whether you just call it a distributed network and they're influencing them, but the online presence is huge, and we have to get towards that and start attacking that itself. Where is that coming from? There's still a physical piece behind that somewhere.
Yeah. And that last guest warned 2018 could be bad.
I wouldn't disagree.
Well, thank you, Dave Sears, for that sobering message. Happy
Thanks,
New
Rick.
Year.
Happy New Year.